What's going on, guys? This is another episode of Nolan's Pod after having a week to last week to regroup um and not do a podcast last week and just regroup and watch some things and watch some sports, get some things done. We are back again this week. Today not talking about football. I probably will get back to it this week talking about football. But as you know, when it's postseason in sports, that's what you need to be talking about. That's what we're gonna be talking about today. Um, gonna give you guys a little basketball too, cause media day is this week for the NBA. Training camp's gonna be starting, so that's a big thing. Football's kind of gonna be put to the side for today. Um, Baseball, Major League Baseball is what we're gonna be talking about, cause the postseason is gonna start tomorrow. The American League postseason brackets are set. The National League postseason bracket is not all the way set yet. That's the fun part because we are involved in it because we have 2 games today. If you don't know who I'm talking about that don't have 2 games today, you have been living under a rock. So let's get to it. Without further ado, in the American League, we have the 3-seeded Houston Astros versus the 6-seeded Detroit Tigers. Nobody thought that Detroit was going to make the playoffs. They were supposed to be in a rebuild year. And from August 10th or 11th on, they just got hot out of nowhere. And it can happen. You can get hot and you can hit a speed bump too. And at that point in Detroit was 10 games under 500, and they got hot. They got hot. Anything can happen, and anything happened. They got hot, and that's how they were able to make the postseason. They started playing better. They started pitching better behind Tarek Skubal. They started hitting better. They got a lot of nice young pieces, and they got hot at the right time. They saved their season. And their reward is the 3-seeded Houston Astros, who are going to be a very, very tough out because we all know how the Astros get down. As you know, my hatred for the Astros since that cheating scandal. I don't like the Astros, so I will be going with Detroit in this series. Do I think Detroit is going to win? No, I don't, because I think that they're still young and they're still in that rebuild phase. And a lot of these guys on this ball club had not played in the postseason. They don't have postseason experience. And you need postseason experience to be able to understand that it's different. This is not a regular season game. Every out, every pitch, every at-bat matters in the postseason. And if you make one mistake, your season could be over with the snap of a finger. That's why I'm going with Detroit, because I want Detroit to win personally. But I don't think that they're going to win because you have a more experienced veteran team with a lot of playoff experience, and they have World Series titles under their belt in the Houston Astros. But hats off to Detroit for just getting yourselves there. It's not easy. It was not easy. And it did not look like from August 10th or the 11th, before they started getting hot, it did not look like they were a postseason team. They were in rebuild mode. And now that they're past rebuild mode, they're way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. They are farther along in that process than what we all thought. Hey, what do we know? Number 4 seed Baltimore Orioles are going to be playing number 5 seed Kansas City Royals. Kansas City's in the same division as Detroit. They're in the same boat as Detroit. We thought that Kansas City was in rebuild mode. The one thing that's different from Kansas City and Detroit is Kansas City, the Royals, they started out the season hot. They were red hot to start out the season. They went on like a 7-game losing streak, then they picked it back up. They got hot again. Then they hit another speed bump. They went on like another 7-game losing streak, but they weathered the storm again, and they got hot again. And just all season long, they were hot. Yeah, they hit 2 speed bumps along the way, but they got it back together when it was time to get it back together. It all starts with Bobby Witt Jr. It starts with Salvador Perez. One thing about Kansas City has a good pitching staff. They really do. They have a great pitching staff, and that's what really carried him. But that young guy, Bobby Witt Jr., he's going to be great for a long time. He's going to be great for a long time. We all knew he was going to be great, and to see him on this big stage, now, we all get to see him on TV. It's not just your local broadcast where certain people don't get to see him. The world's going to get to see you now because you're playing on Fox, you're playing on ESPN. The world is going to get to see what Bobby Witt Jr. is made of. That young kid is a stud, and he's going to show you. Same thing with Detroit. I would go with Baltimore because same thing with Detroit, as I just told you. Baltimore is inexperienced, Kansas City is inexperienced. They don't have no playoff experience. Salvador Perez, Michael Watka, they have a lot of playoff experience. But those young guys on the team, they don't have the necessary playoff experience. He got Will Smith. He has a ton of playoff experience. He has the World Series with us. But other than that, you have a lot of young guys on the team that don't have experience. Playoffs is a different ball game, especially if you're a team that does not have experience versus a team that has experience. Baltimore lost in the playoffs last year to the Texas Rangers. They have a year of experience in the playoffs. They know what it's like to lose in the playoffs. They have a bad taste in their mouth, so they're coming. They're another young team, is Baltimore, but they have the experience. But Kansas City just fighting this season and getting in, you have to credit them. Again, they were supposed to be in rebuild mode. They're way ahead of schedule. And when they got out to a hot start, we like, oh, it ain't going to last. It lasted for the whole season. They showed that they were serious. We just played Kansas City yesterday, We just played Kansas City yesterday. We won the series, but all we had to do was sweep Kansas City. Kansas City won yesterday, so that's the reason that we have to play a doubleheader today. If you don't know who I'm talking about, just look at my shirt. But Baltimore, I would favor Baltimore. I like Kansas City too, don't get me wrong. I would favor Baltimore. I think that's going to be a more interesting series than Detroit and the Astros. The winner of the number 3, number 6 seed, Detroit and Houston, they'll play the number 2 seed who's waiting in Cleveland. The winner of the number 4 seed, Baltimore Orioles, and the number 5 seed, Kansas City Royals, they will play, whoever wins that series will play the number 1 seed waiting, the New York Yankees. Let's transition to the National League. The number 3 seed, Milwaukee Brewers, are waiting for their opponent. It's going to be a number 6 seed that they're waiting on. The number 4 seed, San Diego Padres, are waiting on the number 5 seed. That's depending on the Braves and the Mets doubleheader. That's what I'm saying. Or Arizona could get in. So the Brewers and the Padres are waiting on their opponents. They don't know who they're going to play yet. As of the end of today, we're going to find out who the Brewers and who the Padres are playing. That comes down to this doubleheader. The Diamondbacks season is not lost, not yet. They're on the outside looking in as of this morning. We play a doubleheader, the Mets and Braves, starting at 1 o'clock following another game. Spencer Schwellenbach gets game 1, starting pitcher. He's pitched big games, and for a rookie, he's pitched big games. All his stars. It's just another one of those big games. Spencer Schwellenbach, I just watched him literally last week, face the Mets last week, and shut them down. Francisco Lindor was not in the lineup, but he still shut the New York Mets down. He has to do it today. All the Braves and the Mets need to do is just split the series, and both teams get in. All we need to do is win one game. If we don't win game 1, We just need to make sure we win game 2. Say we don't win game 1. Chris Sale gets game 2 if necessary if we don't win game 1. If we win game 1, Chris Sale does not have to pitch. So we need to win game 1 so Chris Sale does not have to pitch. That way, whoever we end up playing in a wild card, possibly Chris Sale can start game 1 of that series versus starting game 2 of this series, of this doubleheader today. He'll start this doubleheader today if we don't get game 1. So that's why it's crucial for us that we need to get game 1. All we need to get is one win. One win is all we need to get, but we need to get that first game so it can take the pressure off of us in the second game. The Diamondbacks lost the tiebreaker to the Mets and the Braves, so the Diamondbacks screwed themselves by not winning the tiebreaker versus the Mets or the Braves. The Diamondbacks need a lot of help. The Diamondbacks need both teams. They need the Braves and the Mets to sweep the doubleheader. So say we win the 2 games of the doubleheader that we have today. The Diamondbacks get in. Say the Mets win the 2 games they have a doubleheader today. The Diamondbacks get in. If each team splits, the Diamondbacks are out. If each team sweeps, the Diamondbacks get in. So it all comes down to today. The doubleheader, obviously, the hurricane and the rain last week is the reason why we're playing a doubleheader today. If we would have won yesterday and took care of our business like we were supposed to, we wouldn't even have to play a doubleheader today. So that's what I'm saying about the Kansas City Royals. They beat us yesterday. Kansas City's pretty good. Let's make no mistake about that. Even though we won the series, they got the game yesterday. So the Diamondbacks need a lot of help. They need a lot of help, but we control our own destiny. All we need to do is just win one game, and we need to make sure we get that first game so it takes the pressure off of us. In the second game, we don't even have to worry about the second game. So after today, the playoff field will officially be set in the National League, and we will know where we stand tomorrow. That's it for baseball, MLB. The Phillies and the Dodgers are dangerous. The Dodgers have no pitching. That's my concern. They have all the offense in the world, but if you don't have no pitching, you kind of screw yourselves. The Phillies, they have both pitching and they have offense. They're pitching Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, possibly Taijuan Walker. You got Christian Sanchez who you could throw in there. And then they got the offense, the Kyle Schwarbers, Alec Bohms, Bryson Stott, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto. They got the offense. The Dodgers pitching has been hurt this year. A lot of pitching injuries. But they had the offense. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, Will Smith. They got the offense. Those teams are World Series favorites. Baltimore, they have the offense. They don't have the pitching, in my opinion. The Astros, pitching injuries, just like the Dodgers, pitching injuries, but they have the offense. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, Yanier Diaz, they have the offense. This is pitching. It's been hurt, just like the Dodgers pitching staff. Kansas City, Detroit, great young players, great pitching, no postseason experience. Baltimore, they have the offense and they have the young nucleus they need. Cleveland surprised a lot of people. Cleveland, they need to play small ball to win. The Yankees, they need to play long ball to win. The Yankees have the offense. Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres. They have the hitting. One thing that concerns me is the Yankees bullpen. Who's going to close? Because Clay Holmes blew a lot of saves this year, and towards the end of the year they went with people closing by committee. So bullpen concerns me about the Yankees. The Brewers. The Brewers have to play small ball to win, but they have the necessary offense with Rhys Hoskins, William Contreras, Bryce Terang, Jackson the Young Stud, Jackson Cheerio, Blake Perkins, Willie Adames. They have the young studs. They have good pitching too, but they got to play small ball to win, in my opinion. They weren't a home run hitting team. The Padres, they have the offense, and they also had good pitching this year. The Padres pitching is very underrated. The Padres have both. Luis Arias sets the tone. Fernando Tatis Jr., of course. Manny Machado. Jerickson Profar, the young stud, the rookie. Jackson Merrill. Who else am I forgetting? Jake Cronenworth, the Donovan Solanos, those guys, they have both. They have the pitching and the offense. Led by Mike Shildt, the manager. Let's see, did I miss anything? That pretty much covers everything. Braves and Mets doubleheader. You know, we were hurt all year long, the Braves. We haven't had the offense that we wanted. But one thing that's got us in the position that we're in today, we have the pitching. Spencer Schwellenbach, Chris Sale, Max Fried, Ronaldo Lopez. Charlie Morton probably pitches out of the bullpen. He just made the start yesterday. Charlie probably pitches out the bullpen. We have the pitching. We need to hit the ball today, especially. We got to come through offensively. The Mets offensively, they're good. Francisco Lindor, the Pete Alonso's, Jeff McNeil's, Starling Marte, the young cat, Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo, those guys, they all set a tone. It's going to come down to today with both teams. We're going to see where we stack up. That's it for baseball. Let's go to basketball real quick. NBA, today's media day. Training camps are going to be starting this week into next week. But a blockbuster trade came through. I think it was Friday night. Going into Saturday morning, blockbuster trade came through. The New York Knicks trade for Karl Anthony Towns. The New York Knicks get Karl Anthony Towns. They trade Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. When Julius Randle got hurt last year and Jalen Brunson kind of showed what he could do and he became that guy, it's like Julius Randle was the odd man out. And then especially when they pulled the thing with, I don't think Julius Randle's jerseys were getting sold in the team store anymore, or his name was spelled wrong on the back of the jersey, something like that. That's when you knew that something was up and that Julius Randle was the odd man out. So it was good to get him out of there while you can now. That's what they did. The Knicks needed a center. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein to free agency. They couldn't pay him. And then it had been announced that Mitchell Robinson, his offseason ankle surgery, he's not going to be ready till December. So they needed a center. They got their center in Cat. One advantage that Cat has is he's played for Tom Thibodeau before, so he knows what Tibbs is all about. He played for him in Minnesota, so he knows what Thibodeau is all about. That's one advantage. The second advantage I just mentioned, they got a center. They needed one. For the Timberwolves, Julius Randle, he's going to play power forward. Right. They got Dante DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo can come off the bench and be the sixth man. Dante DiVincenzo was going to be the odd man out in New York after coming off a career year because the Knicks got Mikal Bridges, and Dante DiVincenzo was going to come off the bench and his role was going to be diminished, and it was reportedly that he was unhappy about that. So getting him out of there too was good because he's coming off a career year and he's being and he's being asked to come off the bench, you know, after having a career year. That's something that players don't want to do, especially after career years. So it was a win-win, I think, for both teams. We will see where the chips fall. But I'm glad to be back after taking a much-needed week. And we back at it. And I'm going to have postseason coverage MLB for you along the way, all postseason long. So you don't got to worry about looking something up, because I got it. I got y'all. That being said, that's all I have for you guys today. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Make some comments. Let me know what you guys think about this postseason bracket and how this postseason is going to shape up. Let me know what you guys think about this blockbuster NBA trade. And that's it.